$250,000 is being offered to anyone who can give information about the person who hung a noose inside the new Nissan Stadium construction site.
Work is on pause as they investigate. Our Dryden Quigley has the latest details.
It's empty here at the Nissan Stadium construction site. That's because work is shut down while they investigate who is responsible for putting up a noose in the new stadium. This week, the Tennessee Builders Alliance, or TBA, said they discovered a noose somewhere on the construction site. They told us they immediately called police, stopped work, and are cooperating with the investigation. They're making counseling services available to all workers and requiring more anti-bias training. In a statement they wrote in part, "We are outraged and deeply saddened by this act. Racism and hate have no place here." Mayor Freddie O'Connell says they take incidents like this very seriously.
Obviously, this is an environment where we want to try as hard as we can to prevent scenarios that might be fear or hate-based. We've taken some steps both with local policy, state policy, in partnership with them to try, again, to keep temperatures low and prevent hate incidents like this.
The TBA is offering a $250,000 reward to anyone who can bring them information that leads to the person responsible. They said there are flyers up all inside the construction site that tell you who to contact.
Shalom. All praise glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. The belongings to teachers, elders, and apostles of Great Millstone, likewise, brothers, but know this truth. Fifthly, fearlessly feeding the sheep, and two brothers and sisters that are tuning in. Shalom. Today's lesson is titled, Though He Humble Himself and Go Crouching. This is the book of Psalms 55 and 21. It reads, The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Now, as you saw in that opening clip, okay, these Edomites are at it again, okay? They're emboldened. You know, we're in a time right now where their king, okay, Donald J. Trump, okay, is exercising all of his hatred of the children of Israel under the guise of using the Congress and their laws to get rid of people, okay, that they deem illegal to be here, which really, if that was the case, then the invaders, which are these Edomites, the so-called white people, need to actually get the hell out of here. But this is all part of prophecy that the so-called white man will come up against the children of Israel. We know that the Lord Yahweh Shai is going to allow 2/3 of our people to be cut off and die here in Great Babylon, America, okay, for our wickedness. Lord willing, the brothers and the sisters that are in this ministry, okay, and have repented, okay, are not part of that number. But you can see this is a continuous hatred, okay? And this noose, okay, this is symbolic of hatred, okay? It is something that they have used to terrorize and intimidate Jakes throughout history.
It appears that Mr. Fuller has tragically died by suicide.
My name is Kirk Burkhalter. I'm currently a professor of law at New York Law School, and I'm also retired from the New York City Police Department. I served 20 years, and I retired as a detective first grade. So over the past few months or so, you've had this proliferation of finding black men literally hanging from trees in public areas, parks, and so forth. And this is particularly disturbing based on a couple of reasons. One is these hangings have been ruled suicides, most in part. The other is, needless to say, this country has a history of lynching of black men. Certainly back in the 1930s, Billie Holiday even recorded a song entitled Strange Fruit. And the fruit she spoke of was the black men hanging from trees in the South. So why is this particularly disturbing? So one issue is the coroner's reports are ruling these deaths a suicide. And very well, from the medical evidence available, yes, a hanging might be something that we would deem a suicide. However, I think that the law enforcement community has a responsibility to take in the totality of the information. So if you think about everything that's going on in society at this moment, all the racial tensions, police misconduct, and so forth, I think it's rather quick at this particular point in time, here in June 2020, to rule these deaths so quickly as a suicide without further investigation.
Because at one point in time, especially after so-called the abolishment of slavery, okay, here in Great Babylon, America, You had these gangs, these thugs, they're known as Ku Klux Klan, okay, or the KKK, and a whole lot of other ones that were going around and grabbing any so-called Negro that they see walking or accused of any minor infraction and hanging them from trees. I mean, they would do a lot of other horrible things, including burning at stake, cutting off genitals, okay, drinking our blood, okay. But you can see even in recent time, in the last few years, they're at it again, okay. And most grievous about it, in some videos that I'm going to show you, is that a lot of time the law enforcement is categorizing these hangings as suicide. A suicide. Here is a set of people that can pretty much go through any type of hellish condition. Yeah, we cry about it, but we're the only ones that actually is able to take it. And you think that Jake is just gonna go hang himself from a tree conveniently, hang himself from a tree, okay? Which shows you that they don't really care, okay, about us. They never did. All right.
A Manville man accused of using racially charged tactics to intimidate his neighbor, and now community activists are demanding action from officials. Fox 26's Jade Fleury is joining us live in Manville here this afternoon with some details on exactly what's happening down there. Jade.
Kat Dukeman tells us that her neighbor has been harassing her and her family for over a year and a half now. She says that he sent his dogs to intimidate her sons, blasted commercial-grade lights at her house throughout the night, and in the most recent incident, she says he even used a noose to threaten her son.
Nobody should have to deal with this. My kids should not have to deal with this. They should not have to be raised next to this.
A Manville mother is speaking out after she says her family has been targeted by a neighbor with racially charged behavior.
He hung the noose up right after. I called the police about the dog this last time.
And then he put two nooses, not one, two nooses in the tree, and told his family, this is for your little boy.
Dukeman, who has two black sons, says when she called Manville police about the nooses, they claimed there was nothing they could do because it was a freedom of speech.
What kind of man uses racial hate and bigotry to harass a small child?
So they have a really good and unique way of hiding their hatred for you, okay? Until they can get you in a position to where they can execute that hatred in the form of certain things like lynching or just straight up murder and butchering, okay? And you can see that this is an intimidation tactic that's always been used, okay, throughout the history here in Great Babylon, America. This is the book of Psalms 23 and 4, and it reads, yea, do I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Okay? So we are walking through the valley of shadow of death every time you leave your house, which is why we always say, Lord's will, because at the end of the day, the Lord controls your life, okay, whether you live or die, and how you're going to die, how are you going to go into the spirit world. And it could very well, just a guy you see with the Jakes that I showed you, meet your fate at the end of a rope.
For the second time in less than 2 weeks, police say a noose has been found hanging outside prominent Center City landmarks. This most recent incident happened this morning. Police say a passerby saw this noose hanging from a tree near Graduate Hospital at 18th and Lombard. It has since been removed. Now investigators are looking into who may have placed it there and why.
It could be someone playing a prank, but what we're concerned about is that obviously anytime you see a noose or that type of artifact, it conjures up, it evokes images of lynchings, and so it could be something related to hate speech, and we're not, or hateful intentions, and that's why we're not treating it as something benign.
Police hope surveillance video in that area could lead them to a suspect.
Which is a horrible, humiliating way to go. But we are here in Great Babylon, America, which is the valley of the shadow of death, okay? Prisoners, walking freely, but we're not free. Integrating with our oppressor, with our murderer, okay? A rapist, okay? A molester, okay? We have to engage. We have no power in our hand. We have to be constantly under subjection of this man, okay? This is Ecclesiasticus 12 and 11. Start verse 11 reads, though he humble himself and go crouching, which is the title of this video, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust had not been altogether wiped away. Here we are. You got Jake's actually believe that MAGA is for them, that they're going to be part of MAGA. They're going to be part of the New World Order as an equal, person with Esau. And no matter how much this man shows his hatred for us, Jake will always find an excuse.
That's not to say black people don't commit suicide. Black people are people just like everyone else. However, something that is rare. And I think, when you investigate these cases, once again, it's looking at all the circumstances. So where did you find this person? Now, in addition to what might have caused them, the root causes of suicide, we all know there are many. There are many. And sometimes it's mental health issues, sometimes tragedy in the person's life.
Jake will always find an excuse. At the end of the day, they'll show that, wait a minute, why are you saying that these are suicides, and when clearly they're murders? And what would these news that's hanging all over the tree, that Esau news media and his people would always come out, and just, it's just like an incident, one of a kind. No, it's not.
We're hearing from the woman who found the news hanging in plain sight. Eyewitness News reporter Greg Argos reports now from Wilmington, Delaware.
A quick trip to the neighborhood Home Depot for a gift this past Friday.
Get mom a storm door.
Turned into a terrifying experience for Lisa Flowers and her sister Lonnie.
This was so perfectly done.
A large hangman's noose made from thick rope and still dangling from the spool it came from.
She said, "Do you see this?" And I turned around and I don't think I could move. I was like, what?
It was rage to see something like that.
The two women immediately asked for a manager at this Home Depot on Millers Road in Wilmington, though they say it took some time for him to arrive. When he finally did,
he also stated to us, this is not what we do. And at the same time he's talking, he's reaching in his pocket for his probably like a box knife,
and cut down the noose. The Flowers sisters say they asked management to check video surveillance. They say they were told cameras did not record the incident. So Lisa wrote this Facebook post. It's now been shared more than 400 times.
We have had some people say that is a rope that
used for animals,
sailors.
But Lisa says this was meant to scare and frighten, a symbol which brings back painful memories from our country's not so distant past.
My ancestors used to be lynched and hung, and it makes me think of that rope hanging from a tree. Either someone was just hanging from it, or someone is about to be hung from it. That's how it makes me feel.
We reached out to Home Depot's corporate office. A spokesperson there says they are appalled and disturbed by this incident. They are investigating, we're told. And they're also working with local law enforcement. Now, the Flowers sisters, meanwhile, say they have had no contact with anyone from corporate Home Depot. Reporting here in Wilmington, Delaware, I'm Greg Argos, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
Tonight, Stanford University is investigating the discovery of a noose on campus. A student tweeted this photo after discovering it on the way to her dorm. She says it took campus police over an hour to respond. The incident is being treated as suspicious, but the school's public safety department told us it may be reclassified as a hate crime. In a statement, Stanford says our community values affirm the dignity of all peoples and call upon us to strive for a just community in which discrimination and hate have no presence.
It's not one of a kind of an incident, okay? And when Esau goes and he's tumbling and crouching himself, he speaks good, he talks in general terms. I really wish there would be a president Trump is the only closest one to it that will come out and say, you know what? Screw you niggers, screw you specks, screw you tontos. We're all about the doggone white people. Y'all got, we're all about the so-called white people. And he's the only one closest to that have come and said that. But the problem is that they can't meet their agenda without the help of Jake. Jake slavery, Jake ability to help sustain this country is what they need in order for them to move forward with their agenda. Because their people are too evil and wicked and stupid to make anything happen. They can't. They can't. And our people really love being in this darkness, okay? This is Lamentation 3. Psalm verse 55 read, I call upon thy name, O Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai, out of the low dungeon. America is a low dungeon for us. And you have to know the name of Yahweh Shemel Shai. You have to know that. But these other camps are not teaching. Thou hast heard my voice. Hide not thine ear at my breathing. Constantly, every time you open your mouth, all we do is complain to Yahweh Shemel Shai about this place that we're in. At my cry, thou drawest near in the day that I call upon thee. Thou sayest, fear not. O Lord, thou hast pleaded the cause of my soul. Thou hast redeemed my life. Yahweh Shai is standing before the Most High, pleading our cause, pleading our case. You know, put, you know, this brother here, put this brother there, this elder here, this elder over here, this priest, this bishop, this believer, okay? Put them on this list of life, the book of life. They don't like the situation they're in. They understand what situation they're in. They understand why they're in no situation. They understand they're in the valley of the shadow of death. They know they were placed there pursuant to Deuteronomy 28. And we can go through the curses starting from verse 16 all the way to 68. And we're living them. We all lived it. Okay? These were this noose, man. Okay?
It's a street lined with trees and patriotism.
You couldn't miss it.
But one homeowner in this Diamond Bar community is no longer feeling so welcome after what someone hung from her tree.
That is the symbol of hate to me, to black people.
A rope in the shape of a noose.
I've been here 26 years. Never had an issue with anyone, never had a problem with anybody.
Which makes this crime even more confusing for this mother and grandmother because she knows it was meant for her family.
There's not many black folks that live out here. There really aren't. And on this street, I don't know any.
Lillian Rucker says it was her son who first found the noose Saturday morning.
I was blown away at it. Absolutely blown away.
And once the shock wore off, they both felt anger and sadness.
Hatred. Plain and simple, we don't like you. Why are you here? You need to leave.
It's 2020. We need to move on from this. Racism needs to die. It really does.
The Rucker family did call the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, which has handed this over to a hate crimes task force as they're trying to figure out exactly who did this.
Whoever did is disgusting. That's just not right at all.
And although this family doesn't know why it happened, Rucker made it clear she's not leaving the community she loves.
I'm not planning on moving. I'm not going anywhere. Been here 26 years. We'll be here through the duration.
And she also wants other families to know that hate and racism aren't just something we see on the news.
Beware. Yes, we live in California. Yes, this is Diamond Bar, but this can happen anywhere. It doesn't matter.
And the only way to stop it is to speak up.
But it's okay. Because see, you know, the good thing about it is this is we are right around here. Let's go into Ezekiel 35 and start verse 2. It says, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it and say unto it, Thus said the Lord, power, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate, which is happening right now. See, just as Esau works in gradualism, so does the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai, because he's saving the elect. Okay? Everybody, the whole world has to hear this gospel. Okay? This preaching, this prophecy of what's going to happen to Great Babylon, America, what happens to the wicked. Okay? And this is how this is that the Lord is going, the Lord's name will be glorified on this earth, and they will come to fear him. Because they will have heard it first, and then they are going to see it and experience it. It says, because it says, I will lay, it says, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai. Okay? He will know that. Egyptians against Egyptians, you're going to have the clashes of the tribes. On top of economic downfall, and nothing that they do is going to work. Okay, including the MOTB, which, you know, for a while that would work because the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai is going to have the world tested. Okay, and Yahweh Shai made it very clear that he's going to save his elect. from that temptation. And it says, because I was out of perpetual hatred. This noose, this is hatred, man. This is all hatred. And I shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity and time that their iniquity had an end. These crackers love to persecute you when you are down and out. And they like to go after the defenseless people. They love to do that. You see them, they'll kill animals and they'll hang the animal's head up on a wall as a trophy. They love that. They love to go up against the weak. Okay? Therefore, as I live, said the Lord power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Said thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. So that this comforts us. Because we're in that time right now where the end of our judgment, okay, is almost there. Okay? And the beginning of Esau's, which is going to be lots and lots of blood. The Lord is going to kill a lot of Edomites. He's going to kill a lot of Edomites. Okay? And he's going to allow these 2/3 to get their hands on their claws on them too. They ain't going to be always Jake talking and going, trying to convince themselves that this man is not wicked. They're just going to have to, you're going to have no choice. The Jakes are going to have no choice but to fight back, even at their demise. It says, thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate, and cut off from it that passeth out, and him that run to return it. And I will fill his mountains with slain men, and thy hills, and in thy valley, and in thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. So this place is going to fall by violence, because that's all this man has demonstrated is violence. 2025, and we still have this. This is July in 2025. This, what I opened up with that clip, took place just 2 days ago. This is where we're at, and yet still our people want to party, have hope in this place. Come on, man. How much of this crap did you need to see to understand? They don't like you. Don't trust your enemy. His smiles, his sweet talks, nothing. Only trust in the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai. Lord willing, the elect will satisfy that close by giving all glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Rakadash. Shalom.